Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be reacting a a special YouTuber called His Story, and he makes so many different videos. And now, not all stories are based real, but their real things could happen from the story itself. So yeah. So his story is supposed to be like supposed to be animated films, shorts, and sometimes movies that on. I'm trying to figure out what all it is, but like all I know, he does film for different different animation, different effects, like basically like almost like it's basically like a person's story, but in a fictional way, but it is possible to happen. So yeah, so I just gonna switch scenes here to this, and I'm gonna start playing the video. I have multiple shorts here. Now I do not have a special scene or preview to basically narrow down the shorts to just a single window. Going to full screen here, yeah, and we're gonna play the video, and we're gonna see what all there is to this.
I saw a wasp climbing on my girlfriend's calf and immediately hit it with my sandal. Cynthia stood from the couch.
Oh my
Babe,
gosh.
why the hell did you just hit me? I scratched my head to think of a lie because she was deathly allergic to wasps and I didn't want to scare her. There was a fly on your leg. She turned to me. So what? It doesn't mean you have to hit me. Before I could respond,
Dang,
I saw another wasp climbing on her arm and smacked it again. Where were they all coming from? Cynthia smacked my hands off and sprung up from the couch. What is wrong with you? She started to walk to her room and turned around to say, I think you should leave. But when I turned around to face her, I saw Cynthia's face go completely pale, and she was pointing at the door. What is that? I peered over and saw that resting by the door was a wasp nest the size of a basketball, gray and breathing, already swarming with wasps that were coming in underneath the door frame. Cynthia screamed, "Ah!" and the entire nest of wasps all turned to face her. I knew I had to do something, or she'd be toast. Without thinking, I grabbed her arm and shoved her out the door. Go! As soon as she walked out, I grabbed the nest and threw it into the center of the living room and locked the door shut with me inside it so they wouldn't chase her down the street. The wasps started covering me and she hit the window with both fists. Open the door, babe. I shook my head. A sting would just hurt me, but one would kill her, so I wasn't opening anything. I saw a wasp climbing on my girlfriend's calf and immediately Brennan slammed his Beyblade down onto the girl with Down syndrome's tray and shredded her sandwich into pieces. She sat there stunned, tears welling up in her eyes. I turned to him furious. You think it's okay to do that to her? Brennan smirked. Yeah, she's a window licker. He turned and walked off with...
First of all, how fast did they spin that Beyblade? Because there would be no way that Beyblade just flew like that, unless you had a powerful launcher and you're just gonna let's rip, and it just it would just take off like it would. Yeah, like it would just immediately take off like it's nothing.
Something inside me snapped. I stood up on the bench, pointed across the cafeteria, and screamed, I challenge you to a Beyblade duel. The whole cafeteria gasped and turned to look. Brennan stopped mid-step. He slowly turned around with this evil grin spreading across his face. You're on. Me and my boys versus you. Loser licks the bird poop off the table by the playground. By the time we got to the picnic table, the entire playground had circled around it 3 kids deep. Cohen pulled out a Beyblade with flames on it. Kate had a dragon. Brennan was twirling a black one with red spikes between his fingers. I unzipped my backpack and pulled out the one my older brother gave me for my birthday.
Real Beyblade
Solid metal,
types?
no paint, no stickers. He told me, this is Ragnarok. Don't use it unless you really need to. Brennan took one look and cackled. What is that? A paperweight? No. We loaded our launchers and Brennan
Wait, what kind of Beyblade is
3,
that?
2, 1. Beyblade let it ride. 4 Beyblades hit the dirt.
They didn't even say it right. It said let it. You're supposed to say let it rip.
Drilled into Cohen and it shattered into 4
it
pieces.
Broke.
Cohen dropped to his knees sobbing. It was my birthday present. Ragnarok ricocheted off the wreckage and slammed into Tate's dragon. The whole thing.
Oh, that's probably why the Beyblade shot into the sandwich. Is because they trying to launch powerful Beyblades, like so powerful that I could actually shoot a Beyblade like all over the place. Yeah, like rarely a Beyblade would fly out of its arena and hit you. I've seen Beyblades break out of these arenas before, but not so hard.
Launched out of the ring straight at Tate's face and knocked 3 of his teeth clean out. He touched the gap,
Oh my
saw blood,
gosh.
and ran off crying. Brennan was the only one left. His Beyblade was wobbling backwards trying to escape. He dropped to his knees and shoved his bare hand into the ring to block Ragnarok. Too late. Ragnarok smashed through into his Beyblade and it exploded, a shard of plastic slicing his palm open. He yanked his hand
my
back
God.
screaming. The top half of his Beyblade flew up and landed dead center in the bird poop on the picnic table.
my
Ragnarok
gosh.
kept spinning alone in the middle of the ring. The whole playground
That is
exploded.
one powerful
Marley,
Beyblade.
Marley! Brennan stumbled toward Marley, clutching his hand. Cohen shuffling behind him, still sobbing. He stopped in front of her and stared at the ground. I'm sorry. Marley's face slowly broke into the biggest smile I'd ever seen. She raised her middle finger. I forgive you too.
Oh
Then she
my
pointed at the picnic
gosh.
table. Loser licks
No,
the table. Both of them
what?
dropped to
Why
their
would you
knees
do
and licked while
that?
the entire playground watched. Brennan slammed his...
Okay,
The
why would
first
they
punch
even-
I ever threw
okay.
put someone
Why
in
would
the
they
hospital.
lick that
I'd
and
never been
why
in a
would
fight.
they-
Not in middle
okay.
school when
Never
kids
mind.
picked on me. Not in high
You
school
might
when
get me
someone keyed
canceled
my
if I
car.
talk
Not in
about it.
college when a drunk guy shoved me outside a bar. I always walked away. People called me calm, patient, level-headed. But my little sister is the one thing in my life I'm not calm about. She's 16. Last Saturday, she went to a party and I
Okay.
told her to call me if anything happened. She called at midnight with her voice shaking. Some guy wouldn't take no for an answer. Followed her outside
wow.
when she tried to leave. Cornered her by the cars. She got away, but he grabbed her arm hard enough to leave bruises. I broke every speed limit getting there, and my hands
Oh,
were shaking
no.
the whole way. Not from fear. Something
do
else.
not get a
Something I'd
ticket.
never felt before. I parked crooked on the lawn and didn't care. She was sitting on the curb when I pulled up, arms wrapped around herself. The second I saw the bruises on her arm, 23 years of walking away went quiet. Which one? She looked up at me with
What
mascara
even
running down
happened?
her face. It doesn't matter. Just take me home. Which one? She pointed at the house. Backyard. Backwards cap. I told her to wait in the car. She begged me not to go inside. I went anyway. I walked through the house like I owned it and found him out back surrounded
Oh,
by
no.
friends, laughing, living
Skipping.
his best life, while my sister sat on a curb
don't
shaking.
think that
I
did-
grabbed his
okay,
shoulder
never
and
mind.
spun him around. He looked annoyed until he saw my face. We got a problem? You grabbed my little sister. He rolled his eyes.
Trying to move my
Bro,
box
what are you
over
talking about?
so I
The
can
girl
fit
by the
better in here.
cars. The one who said no. The one you bruised. His friends went quiet. Everyone was watching. Then he made a mistake. He laughed. She was overreacting. I
gosh.
barely touched her. My fist connected with his jaw before I knew what I was doing. He hit the ground, and I didn't stop. I don't remember deciding to keep swinging. I just remember the sound. His friends pulled me off eventually. By the time I stood up, my knuckles were split open, and he wasn't moving. I walked back through the house, and the same people who stared at me on the way in were pressed against the walls now. Got to my car.
Oh
my
my
sister
gosh.
was in the passenger seat crying. What did you do? I didn't answer. Just started driving. We were halfway home before I saw the lights in my mirror,
Oh my
blue and
gosh.
red. I pulled over and told her
I
everything was
knew it
going
was
to be
gonna be a
okay.
cop.
I wasn't sure if I was
Not
lying.
just from
The cop
speeding,
walked
but
up to
also
my
from
window and
biting.
saw my knuckles.
It's
the
an
blood.
illegal
Step
thing.
out of the vehicle, please. I did. Hands where he could see them. He looked at my sister through the window and saw her arm, the bruises. Then back at me. Someone want to tell me what happened tonight. My sister got out before I could stop her and told him everything. The party. The guy who wouldn't leave her alone. The grabbing. Me showing up. The cop listened without writing anything down. When she finished, he looked at me for a long
Without
time. The
writing
kid
anything
back there
down?
wants to press
So
charges.
there's
I
basically
figured.
no
He looked at my
evidence
sister's
to
arm
measure
again,
off
then
of?
at me. Off the record, I have a daughter her age. He closed his notepad
So they
and
don't
tapped
keep
it
the
against his
record
palm
down.
twice. Drive safe. I never got charged. He never apologized. People still
What
call me
in
the
the-
calm one. They're right. I am calm.
What-
They just don't test it anymore.
What?
The first punch we were in the middle of a
Okay, yeah, I
test
don't
when
know
I
what
caught a
even
student
happened.
whispering and
It's
pointing
weird.
into his backpack. But just as I was about to stand up and bust him for cheating, he pulled out something metal and black. This
Oh,
kid was
no.
known for causing trouble and harassing multiple girls, one of them being my daughter. And since I was lucky enough to teach her that year, she was sitting right in front of him. I instantly started getting nervous. I didn't have a clear enough view to be sure what it was, but knew I had to get a better look, so I stood up pretending to help one of my students. However, the second I got a closer
Oh,
look, I
gosh.
realized what it was. It was
What?
a handgun.
Oh, no,
My hands
oh
started
my God,
shaking,
I was thinking
but as
it
I
was
sat
a
back
gun.
down, I dialed
Oh my
911
gosh.
on my phone, but knew he'd hear me if I even whispered. I knew I couldn't just walk out of the room and leave them in there, so I texted our principal, praying he'd respond. Sweat was dripping onto my desk, and as he held up finger guns at her, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. That's when I got an idea. I looked at that
Oh
same
my
student
gosh.
and wrote her a note that said, "Ask me to use the bathroom. Go get the principal, get him to check his phone, and leave the school immediately." And when I handed it to her, she could see how terrified I was. But without saying anything, she left the room. It took everything to
Oh
hold
my
back my
gosh.
tears. But then
Okay,
someone
yeah,
knocked on the
just
door.
better
Our
hurry up.
principal walked in the room,
Why is
and
the
I
room
immediately
blue?
saw the kid
What?
get nervous.
It's
The
like
principal
did he
walked
walk
up and asked him,
Hold
"Could
on.
you come into the hall with..."
It looked like he just walked out of a portal. like, like what? It looks like he walked out of a portal. Like, how did that even happen?
"Do you come into the hall with me?"
It
And
looked
he
like he
stood up
walked
with
out of
one
the
hand
portal.
still in his backpack. My heart raced as he walked past my
Wow.
daughter, but
I
just before he
never even-
finally left the room,
See,
he
that door
stopped.
looks like a
Everyone
portal.
watched, and I saw him unzip his bag. My heart stopped, but
What?
before anyone could do anything, he pulled out the gun and aimed it directly at my daughter. I yelled, "No, don't," and everyone screamed. I ran towards her, diving in front of her to stop it. I saw police running in behind him, but in slow motion, I saw him pull the trigger. This was it for me. I heard the click and was ready to take a
Oh,
bullet to the
no.
spleen, but when I hit the ground, I felt nothing. The police ran in and grabbed him from behind, and when the gun hit the floor, I saw he forgot to take the safety off. We were in the middle of a test
That's
when I
karma.
caught a student whispering and pointing into his backpack.
That's literally karma. The safety got put on for his karma. Oh my gosh.
My daughter
No.
finally brought home a boyfriend I didn't want to kill. I'd been striking out with her boyfriends
Okay.
for 6
Oh
straight years.
my gosh.
Kevin stole $20 from my wallet during Thanksgiving
Oh my
dinner.
gosh.
Brad showed up wasted to my wife's birthday and puked all over
Bruh,
our new
what
carpet.
even-
Then there was Connor, who called me sir while dealing weed to middle schoolers behind the 7-Eleven. So when my daughter Alyssa said she was bringing home her new college
Okay,
boyfriend for
what is
spring break,
going
I
on
braced
here?
myself for
What
another
is even
disaster.
going on
His
here?
name's Alex, she announced, and he's
Like,
different,
what
Dad.
even
Right.
happened?
I'd heard that line before every single time. Alex rolled up Friday afternoon
Trying to fix
in a
my
beat-up
glasses,
Honda,
they're
older
not
than my daughter.
straight.
He walked to our door with nervous energy and a firm handshake. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Palos," he said, looking me dead in the eye.
I do need
Most
new
of her exes
glasses
couldn't manage
anyways
that much.
because
Still,
I have a
learned not to
scratch in the
trust
lens
good
and it's
first
kind of messing up my
impressions. During dinner,
focus a
he
little
was
bit.
polite enough, asked about my work, complimented my wife's enchiladas, helped clear plates without being
Yeah.
asked. He kept his phone
I'm
in his
still
pocket
gonna get
the
a new
entire meal.
computer
I found
soon
myself grudgingly
so that I
impressed,
can
but
get-
experience
so I
taught
can
me the
get
charming ones
RTX
were
inside of
usually
it.
the most dangerous. 2 nights later, I was in the garage at midnight wrestling with my motorcycle's stubborn carburetor. Alex appeared in the door.
I don't even know what I just
Hallway
heard
looking
outside a
sheepish.
TV
Saw
or
the
something.
light and thought you might need help.
I think it's just
My
a
dad and I
dog.
used to work on bikes before he passed.
Yeah,
know
I
him
have
since
a
pretty
dog,
well.
so I
Instead
can
of
guess
awkward
that's what
small
happened.
talk, he rolled up his sleeves and actually knew
Okay.
what he was doing. We worked in comfortable silence for an hour. He handed me tools before I asked. When we finally got the
Alright.
engine purring, he didn't take credit, just smiled and said it felt good to work with his hands again. Next morning, I
Okay.
found my toolbox organized better than it had been in years. Every socket in its place. A note read, "Thanks for letting me help." Reminded me of my old man.
Wait,
I was
hold
starting
on.
to like this kid, but I was still waiting for the catch. 6 years of losers had trained me too well. On their last day, my wife collapsed in the
fix
kitchen
still.
making breakfast. 1 second she was flipping pancakes. The next, she hit the floor hard. Looked like a heart
What
attack. Alyssa started screaming. I fumbled with my phone, hands shaking too
Did
bad
she
to
ju-
dial.
did she
Alex
just
dropped to his
pass
knees
out from a
beside my wife
seizure or
and started
something, or
checking
she,
her pulse with steady hands. "He's an
no
EMT,"
pulse?
Alyssa sobbed. "An EMT. I'd been so busy hunting for red flags I
No
never once
pulse?
asked what
Did
he
she-
did for
did
work.
she
He kept my
stroke out
wife
or
conscious and
got a
calm
heart
while we
attack
waited
or
for
something?
paramedics, talking in that
Okay,
steady
well.
voice first responders use. At the
Well, the
hospital,
ambulance
Alex
came.
stayed 8 hours even though his flight left that evening. Missed his connection, paid $400 to rebook. When I tried to reimburse him, he refused. Alyssa needed me here. That's what you do for family. While we waited for test results, he quietly handled
Okay.
everything I was too stressed to think about. Called Alyssa's work, picked up prescriptions, made sure we had food at home, called my wife's sister so I didn't have to repeat the story 10
I don't-
times. My wife was
I was
fine,
kinda
just
confused what
exhaustion
even
and low blood
started
sugar.
it.
Driving him to the airport the next day, Alex turned to me. "Mr. Palos, I love your daughter. I'd like your permission to propose after graduation." I pulled over and looked at this kid who'd proven himself when it mattered most. After 6 years of losers and letdowns, my daughter finally found a keeper. "You have my blessing," I said. "They're getting married next summer." He already calls me dad.
What?
My parents
I
walked
don't
into
even
my
know how
room
that even-
mid-game and unplugged my console. My dad held up my report card with a D in algebra and said, "No more games until your grades come up." The next day,
Oh
I
my
walked
gosh,
into the
it's
kitchen
literally
and
every
told him my
parent
friend
saying
started
that.
a study group at his house. My
They-
dad
they
dropped me
literally
off
can't
that first
play
night
until
and
their-
watched
their
me walk
D
in
is
with my
gone.
backpack. He saw textbooks on the table and drove away smiling. My
some
friend's
parents
mom
still
sat
get
us
mad at
down and made us do
people-
homework for the first hour.
Some people get mad over people getting a B, or sometimes they get mad over an A minus. Like they literally had to have perfect A's for some reason, which is kind of weird. But I mean, I'm pretty sure B is still a passing grade. So is C and D. The only grade that isn't passing is F. So like, yeah, I mean, D you still need to improve over, but but B, you need to at least appreciate yourself that you got a grade. Yeah, because there's some people that never got a grade because they just never do their work, or they just do it without actually dealing with anything.
The second that hour was up, my friend turned on Fortnite
Yeah.
and we gamed for the rest of the night. When my dad picked
People
me up,
go
he
too
asked
far
how it
with
went.
their
I told him we
homework.
studied the whole time. He squeezed my shoulder and said, "That's my boy." Every night after that, he'd pull up during the first hour and peek through the window. Textbooks out, homework spread across the table.
Oh
By
my
the time
gosh.
we switched to Fortnite, he was long gone. One night, my friend's mom came outside
What
and
is
told
it,
him,
cheating?
"Your son's been making my boy actually do his homework. He never used to." After that, my dad stopped getting out of the car. He'd just honk and I'd come
I
out.
thought they were
One
cheating
night I looked out
for
the
like
window and my
someone
dad was
looking at
walking up the
another
driveway
page.
carrying a box of pizza. He was coming inside to thank my friend's parents. I jumped off the couch.
What
I
is
slapped
even
my
going
friend's
on?
arm and he yelled, "Grab the math books." We threw the controllers under the couch cushions and had textbooks open by the time the front door opened. My dad walked in with the pizza grinning. He looked at the table covered in math
he's probably
books
gonna see
and
the
started
game still
beaming. He
open.
pulled out his phone and took a photo of me pointing at equations in a calculus textbook. I still had a D in algebra. I just nodded and kept pointing like I knew what I was talking about while our Fortnite characters were getting eliminated in the background. My dad sent the photo
is he
to
gonna
my
even
mom,
see
and she
that?
called me
Is
that
he gonna
night
see
crying
that
about
they're,
how proud she was. He went back to honking from
Alright.
the driveway. To them, I was a math tutor, but really, I was top 10
Wait,
in
what?
Fortnite. My parents walked into my room mid-game.
Dude, he never saw the TV was on. What? What are these people? Dude, they don't even know how to tell the TV
I
was
never
even
thought
on.
I'd see attempted murder at my school until I got
Oh
put on
my
lunch
gosh.
duty. Every single day, I watched this tiny kid walk up and ask, "Does this have gluten? Is this dairy-free?" But every day, the lunch ladies would get annoyed saying, "You'll be fine, kid. Just eat it." But I need to know. I could get hurt, and they'd shove a tray at him and move on to the next student. I stood closer the next lunch, but I overheard them saying, "Oh look, here comes
Wow.
Allergy Boy again." They laughed
Huh?
at them. Maybe we should just give him dairy today and see what happens.
Yeah, those
I
are-
couldn't
those
believe
people
what
are
I was
ill,
hearing,
for
but
sure.
they smiled while they handed him his food. Then he took his first bite, and not even 20 seconds later, he dropped his fork and started running out of the cafeteria with his hands on his stomach. Everyone watched him and laughed, especially the lunch ladies. Did you
Oh
see
my
him choking
gosh.
though? This was pure evil.
Oh my God,
I
yeah, they-
immediately walked to the
yeah,
principal's
I
office
would
to tell him to
literally
fire
call
them. But as soon as I
911 right
finished
away.
telling him what I saw,
And,
he goes,
yeah.
"That's a serious accusation.
That's
Do you
crazy.
have any proof?" He called them in, and as soon as he asked them, one of them put her hand on her chest and said, "What? We try so hard. It was an honest mistake." The principal turned to me. "See, it's just a misunderstanding. Perhaps you should
Yeah,
focus on
right.
your own
Check
classroom."
harder.
I left that office furious, but I made a promise to myself.
Check
this
your
wasn't happening
camera.
again.
Check
the
your
next day,
cameras.
I positioned myself right
Almost
next to the
every
lunch line
cafeteria
when he
has a
walked in.
camera
"Hey there,
right
we're so
in
sorry
the-
about
in
yesterday,
the-
so we made you something
in the-
completely
the,
safe
the-
today. We
what do you
promise."
call it?
They were
It's like usually every cafeteria has some kind of camera in the kitchen, or right beside the serving area.
forming for the whole cafeteria.
serving
We
counter.
made Thai noodles with our special sauce, totally safe. He thanked them and took his tray, and that's when it hit me. What was he even allergic to? So I quickly walked to the nurse's office to find his folder, and when I looked at it, I felt terrible. He was allergic to almost 25 things. No wonder
Oh
he was
my
so skinny.
gosh.
But then at the bottom it said, "Fatal, peanuts." Wait a second, they said Thai sauce. Thai sauce had peanuts in it. Then it
Oh
hit me. They
gosh.
were trying to kill him. I instantly grabbed the EpiPen from the wall and ran to the cafeteria. But when I burst through the cafeteria doors, I saw a crowd of kids standing in a circle around one of the tables.
Oh, no.
Someone was screaming, "He can't breathe! Somebody help! Where's the EpiPen?" "There's no EpiPen! There isn't one in here!" But I had one. I dropped to my knees beside him and uncapped the pen. His throat had completely closed. I didn't know how long he'd gone without air. I jammed the EpiPen into his thigh and held it there, counting the seconds. But he wasn't breathing. A girl was yelling, "Please save his life!" But it should have worked by now. It was too late, and I looked
Oh
at those
my
lunch
gosh.
ladies. He told us he wanted it today. They were lying. I snapped. "You
It-
killed him.
it's going
Prove
too
it." But the
hard.
girl was pointing to him. "Wait, you killed him, and now he can't expose you." I was about to grab her by the throat until I heard wheezing. I froze and saw him gasp back to life. And since he could now definitely tell the police what they did, they now stand in line for their prison lunch. I never thought
Oh
I'd see
my
attempted
gosh.
murder at my school until I got put on
What
lunch.
was that ending? What was that ending? It's like, you just see- It's literally the karma lunch. It's literally karma on lunch meals. Yeah.
I'm 30, and my family still treats me like a baby, so I put a knife to their throats to prove them wrong. We were at my cousin's wedding, and my aunt showed me the seating chart that had me at the
Oh
kids'
my
table.
gosh.
I was sat surrounded by 8-year-olds when my aunt walked over with wine in her hand, but gave me a juice box. "Babies don't drink alcohol," she laughed. My mom appeared
what
and
the-
wiped the imaginary juice off my face with a napkin. They walked away laughing. You see, I'm the youngest of
He didn't
7
even
by
drink
10
juice.
years, so I've always been the baby no matter what. I was at the table staring at the crayons I'd been given when my uncle walked over
I mean, he
with a
had a
plastic
juice
plate
box.
and
box, but I don't even know if he even opened it.
He gave me a plastic fork with the prongs cut off. Careful with the fork, buddy. He ruffled my hair and walked
my
away.
gosh.
The kids were laughing at me. I had a medical degree and was being told to be careful with a plastic fork. I heard adults laughing behind too and decided to just leave. I went to stand up when suddenly I heard choking. I turned around and Aunt Janet was going purple and grasping her throat. Mom was screaming, "I thought you said you grew out of your shrimp allergy." Janet collapsed and started turning blue. Someone called 911, but they were 10 minutes out. 10 minutes Janet didn't have. There was no EpiPen because she'd stopped carrying it years ago. My uncle panicked and knelt beside her. Everyone was screaming at him to do something, so he started randomly pressing her chest, which only made Janet turn more blue. I had to do something, so I grabbed a nearby steak knife and one of the kids' pens beside me. I knelt beside Janet and pushed my uncle's hands away. He screamed, "What are you doing? You're too young for this." But I didn't even reply and put the knife to Janet's throat. My mom grabbed my hand immediately. "What are you doing with that knife?" And I yelled back louder than I've ever yelled at them. "I know what I'm doing. Do you want Janet to live or no?" The entire room froze, stunned. My uncle butt in. "But you're a baby. You can't know what you're doing." That was the moment I had enough. I just looked at him and shrugged. "Okay, fine. I guess I don't. Keep doing your compressions and kill her." I backed away from Janet and went to stand up. But Mom grabbed my arm, her face pale. Okay. Just do what you have to, please." Janet had maybe 3 minutes left. I got the steak knife and cut into her throat. My family watched in horror. They thought I was killing her, and every few seconds someone tapped my arm to ask if I'm sure I know what I'm doing. I opened her throat and inserted the hollow pen cap into the incision, and air started rushing through. Janet's chest rose and slowly her color started returning. My mom hugged me so tight I lost control of the pen cap and had to put it back in the right place. And when the paramedics arrived,
I mean, that's not what the holes of the pen were for, but
my mom's head
like not to put
him a doctor.
I mean, the holes of the pen was made to prevent people from choking on the pen cap.
My whole family stared at me red and embarrassed.
There's another use for that pen cap. They found a way to use the pen cap in like the strangest way possible. There's 1,909 comments. Oh my gosh.
I was at my school's annual Skittles guessing contest.
People
waiting for the
remixed
teacher
it
to
a lot
announce the
too.
winner. The prize was a brand new Nintendo Switch.
I don't even know if there's copyright on these if they're remixable.
And pointed right at me. I jumped out of my seat screaming. But before I could grab my prize,
I heard that YouTubers were able to watch this without having to use a license.
I was only one number off.
It should be safe.
Should be mine. I pulled it back towards me. No way. I won it fair. His face dropped. A real winner would just give it to me.
So I mean, like, so there's nothing copyright about the music
until he fell onto the floor.
Or
Jason
certain
put his
sound
hands over
profiles.
his face, real tears coming out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these videos are in Creative Commons, which means that you could do anything with them. I mean, if they're remixable, you should be able to actually copy videos and modify them and stuff like that.
Please, he choked out. They don't have much time.
However, you can't just copy the same exact thing because that could be copyright.
Maybe you could let him have this.
You could react to them.
Everyone was staring, waiting.
I mean, like most shorts are scheduled remixable. Like if there's shorts that are scheduled remixable, most of those remixable shorts are usually accessible to be able to record off of other YouTubers and other people who's using their current software to edit videos. They can actually put this video clip in it too. And as you can remix it, and it's not copyright, which means it should be safe to watch. It should not safe to watch. I meant safe to record on. Yeah, like safe to film it on YouTube and other sources. I'm not sure if you could put it on TikTok because it's a YouTube video. I mean, if it's Creative Commons, you should put it on there. If it's standard usage license, there could be some copyright defects here.
Twisted. If his parents were really dying,
so,
I'd be a bad person.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
want
like
to be cruel.
most of the time when they're remixable
I held
shorts,
out the switch and placed it in his hands. My heart breaking.
They usually put on Creative Commons.
Jason looked up and suddenly the tears
I think by
giving him the prize was
like
the best
when you
thing I could
said
have done,
allow
because
remixing,
later,
it switches to Creative Commons.
Beaming. Jason yelled, "Mom, Dad,
I mean, this was done on a computer, so they had to manually tweak.
Over to them, taking their hands. "You must be so proud, and I'm so sorry about your battle with cancer. I hope you both recover soon." The parents stared at him, confused. "Huh?" The teacher blinked. Jason told us about how you both are ill. She put her hand on my back, and this sweet boy gave up the prize for your son to see you happy. Jason went white. His parents turned to him. "You told people we had cancer?" The whole room realized Jason lied to get the prize, and the teacher's face hardened. "You're banned from this contest. Now give your switch back to the real winner." Jason's parents pushed him towards me. Jason hesitated. I smirked and said, a real winner
I
would
would
just
say,
give it
get
back
that
to me.
karma.
He dropped
Get
the switch
that
into my
karma.
hands, his face redder than the Skittles in the jar.
Womp
I was at my
womp, you're
school's annual
gone.
Skittle. I was standing in
Yeah.
court when my neighbor Barb held up her bandaged hand and told the judge she had been traumatized by my vicious dog. The judge looked at me. Where's the defendant? I reached into my bag
what?
and pulled out Peanut, my 9-pound senior chihuahua wearing tiny sunglasses because I was worried the courtroom lights would hurt his eyes, and the judge stared
Wait,
at
what
me.
happened?
Is this a joke? I shook my head. This is Peanut. He has arthritis in 3 legs, and his favorite hobby
Oh,
is sleeping.
no.
Peanut yawned, and you could see his one remaining tooth, which made the judge put his head in his hands. I could not wait to see how this ended. Barb launched into
I'm
her
surprised that
testimony.
dog could still
beast
eat
stalked
at
me
all.
for weeks. Every day I walked past, and there he was, watching me, waiting, planning. The judge looked at Peanut, who had already passed out in my arms with drool
Oh,
running
no.
down my sleeve.
Oh, wait.
That dog? Barb pointed
Did
at
it
Peanut.
sleep,
Yes,
or did
he's
it-
not as innocent as he looks.
I think it
couldn't stay
slept.
quiet. Your
I
Honor,
think it's
Peanut
sleep.
can't see past 5 feet because of his cataracts. Barb kept
Oh.
going, holding up her bandaged thumb. I was minding my
So
own
it-
business
so
when
the
that
dog-
hellhound
the
lunged
dog
at
is
me and
probably
attacked
gonna
my
be on
hand.
handicap.
He needs to be put down. The judge squinted at her thumb.
Oh,
Did you need
no.
medical attention? Barb gasped,
They're
putting
gonna
her
put
hand
down
against
the
her
dog?
chest dramatically. No, but it drew
No.
blood, Your Honor. I had to fight for my life. And how exactly did you fight a 9-pound
No,
dog?
do not
I
put
asked.
down the
Barb
dog.
scoffed. I made a defensive leg motion. The judge raised an
No,
eyebrow.
do not
You
put
kicked
down the dog.
Barb threw up her hands. I had to, or that rabid little rat could have killed me. The judge looked at me. Do you have anything to add? I nodded. My doorbell camera got everything. The bailiff
He
pulled
had
up
a
the footage,
what?
and we watched
He
Barb
has a
walk up
doorbell
and reach
camera?
toward Peanut while he was sleeping on the porch. When
I
Peanut
mean,
ignored
a
her,
lot of
she
people
kicked
have
him,
doorbell
launching him back.
cameras.
Peanut had to scramble backwards, and you could hear him making sounds like a dying, squeaky toy. Then Barb looked in both directions before yanking her hand back directly into the thorns on my rose bush. The judge's face went completely flat. So you reached for a sleeping dog on someone else's property, kicked him, and then scratched yourself on a bush, and now you want him put down. Barb turned red and stomped her foot. The video doesn't show how vicious he was. The judge shook his head and sighed. Case dismissed. Go get some help. I walked up to the
But
judge.
they don't even
Your
know
Honor, I
what the
want to press
video-
charges
they
for
don't
animal
even know what the
cruelty
video
since she
has in
traumatized my
common.
vicious dog. I was standing in court.
The videos are one thing to give karma on, you know. You
I
just
put
get
my hand on my
regret.
holster and scanned the crowd, looking for threats
No,
while the mayor
they would
spoke into the
regret it.
microphone.
Yeah.
I was his bodyguard,
No.
and I just caught a
Okay.
figure in a dark blue hoodie and shorts at the edge of the crowd. My eyes narrowed as I noticed the pistol-shaped outline in their
no.
pocket, and I instantly radioed the other guards as I realized what this meant. But the figure saw me and immediately disappeared into the crowd. My focus dropped down to the front row, where my wife was smiling at me, but I
What the-
frowned because next to her, my daughter's seat
Oh,
was
that
empty.
was in my
She'd
headphones.
screamed she hated my job and hated the mayor
I was
this
like, what is
morning, slamming
vibrating?
the door in my face before I left.
I forgot
and
my
I thought
headphones
about how
vibrate.
awful it would be if something happened today, and that was our last
I forgot it
interaction.
vibrates.
Suddenly, my radio crackled again. We can't find the figure with the hoodie in the crowd. I felt extremely uneasy and decided it was too dangerous. I walked across the stage
I did not
and
turn
leaned
the
into the
white
mayor's
noise
ear
thing
while he
on.
was speaking.
I did
We've
not turn white
identified a
noise
perceived
noise
threat.
cancellation
You need to leave for your safety
because it would
immediately. I could
interfere
see
with
his
the
skin
video
go
as
white
well.
in fear, and he immediately nodded. The crowd gasped.
I don't
"What's
think that the
happening?" But I
noise
said
cancel
nothing and
works
began
with
escorting
the,
the mayor
with
off stage. I looked at
OBS.
my wife and nodded, but then while scanning the crowd one last time,
I
my
tried
eyes
noise
caught
cancel on it
movement.
before,
The same
and
hooded
it
figure was
instantly
pushing through
messed
the
up
crowd
the,
with the kind
the
of
thing.
urgency
It
that
could
only
be
meant
my
one
graphics
thing. I
API
tried to
not
stay
supported
calm,
with
but
it.
then I caught a glint of metal in their pocket. The other guards were too far away to tackle them, and they pulled
Oh,
out a
no.
gun
No,
and raised
no,
it
no,
at
no,
the
no,
mayor.
no, no, no.
My brain went on autopilot as I dived in front of the mayor. Time slowed down, and while in the air, I looked at my wife. I thought about how she was going to have to see her husband die in front of her. I thought about my daughter and how the last thing we did was slam a door in each other's faces. I heard the sound of the bullet flying and suddenly felt the impact. The shot hit my knee. I fell hard,
Oh, no.
bleeding from my leg and groaning in pain. But the mayor was okay. Other guards swarmed him, and I saw my wife crying and screaming, trying to get to me while security held her back. But then I looked past the crowd
Oh,
and
he
saw the
took a
shooter running
bullet
away,
for
and my
him.
body froze in shock, and tears began rolling down my cheeks. The shooter had a scar on their calf, the same scar my daughter has. My daughter was the shooter. She would rather shoot her father than let him do his job. I put
What?
my hand on my whole... My son
Huh?
Michael was 7 when
What?
doctors told us his hearing was
Oh my
basically
God. Yeah,
superhuman.
that's so
He
weird.
was excited because doctors wanted to run tests for his super hearing. But when we drove home and pulled onto our
Wait,
street,
what?
Michael wasn't excited anymore. He was squinting carefully like he was listening for something I couldn't hear. That's when I noticed the front door of our house was wide open. My heart dropped and I instantly ran inside, calling my son James's name. But nobody answered, and his bedroom
He
was
had to be
empty.
careful.
I noticed our back door was open, and I realized somebody had kidnapped my son. I dropped to my knees, dialing 911,
No,
and that's
get Get
when
out of
Michael
your
tapped my
house.
shoulder with a serious face. I heard it, Dad. I heard them take my big brother. I frantically asked what he
No,
meant,
get out
and he
of the
replied,
house.
"You had
That's
the windows
literally
down
the
in
worst
car,
place
Dad." I heard a
to-
voice that sounded
to
like
deal
Batman's
with,
from our
to
house.
deal with a
He told
crime.
James he's taking him back to Birchwood. My stomach sank because Birchwood was the most dangerous part of town, and I was
Oh,
amazed
no.
because how did Michael actually hear that? But when the cops arrived and searched the house, they told me the investigation would take days because they had no leads. My legs
Yeah.
nearly buckled, but then Michael
to
confidently stepped
find
forward and
evidence
told them
here.
everything. The cops scoffed. "You expect me to trust a kid with some magic hearing?" But I quickly pulled out the doctor's
not
report
magic.
showing Michael's hearing was superhuman and begged the cop to listen to him.
Like,
He
it's
was
not
hesitant but
magic,
nodded.
it's
The three of
perfectly
us began
clear,
driving to Birchwood,
you know.
my heart pounding
Some
in fear
people
the
can
whole
hear
way.
more
But
than
when I
other
looked
people.
at Michael, I saw him
Now,
scanning
like,
the
some
houses
people
like
can
he had a
scan,
plan I didn't
some
know
people
about.
can see
The second
more
we
light
pulled up,
than
Michael
usual,
jumped
like-
out and fearlessly ran to the first door.
Like, for me, I can actually see, like, I can actually see a deeper light spectrum than normal other people. But the problem with seeing deeper light spectrum, that you do lose to see further distance, as this light spectrum is quite large. It's a low light level spectrum, so yeah, I can see in the deeper reds, like, well, not pure infrared, but I can see, like, I could at least see around 5 or 10% close to the infrared lighting, which means that I have just enough vision to see a pulsing light coming out of the remotes, while most other people don't usually notice it. Yeah, it's a very rare thing to have like the ability to see deeper spectrums. And I'm not sure how I was able to see a deeper spectrum. I mean, I'm not sure if it was my glasses having that refraction rate to somehow combine the lights to visible radius. Like, I'm not sure if it's refraction that causes that, because there would be no way I have pure cells to do that. I'm pretty sure it's refraction causing that. So yeah.
Pressing his ear against it to listen
I think it's
in,
more
I nervously
refraction
asked
causing
him,
me
"What
to
are you
see more
doing?" And he
infrared.
whispered back, listening
So
for
I
his
do
voice.
have some
The cop
kind of
went to pull him back,
superpower.
but then Michael shouted, "Not this house,"
Yeah.
and took off
But it's
running
not
before the
magic,
cop could
it's
stop him. He went
science.
door to door, pressing his ear flat against it and listening in, while I
Trying to
watched, biting my
straighten the
nails
laptop a
anxiously
little bit.
and praying James was alive. I was starting to doubt Michael because this was crazy,
missed a
but
few
then while
clips trying
listening
to
to one
fix
door,
it.
he stopped. His eyes widened, and he motioned for us to come close. "It's this house." I can hear his voice. I
Oh
walked
my
over with
gosh.
trembling legs,
Oh
and
no.
me and the cop put our ears against the door. We heard nothing, but Michael nodded. "It's this house. Trust me." The detective knocked on the door, while me and Michael hid in the bushes, my heart hammering in my chest. A teenage boy answered, "Hello, officer," and my face dropped. His voice was deep like Batman's. Michael was correct all along. Suddenly, Michael yelled, "I can hear James upstairs," and bolted into the house. He was too fast for me to catch him, and my stomach sank as the teenage boy lunged to try stop Michael. But the cop quickly restrained his arms. I followed Michael upstairs, my hands shaking,
Wait,
but then
huh?
I saw James sleeping on a bare mattress. Michael was listening to his heartbeat. I started crying in relief, and when I asked Michael how he heard him, he replied, "James snores when he sleeps. You just can't hear him, but I can." He grinned so wide, and I just smiled because Michael's hearing had
What?
saved his big brother's life.
No, he's
My
just
son
flexing.
Michael was set.
He's flexing. He's flexing it. Oh my gosh. He's flexing his hearing powers again.
My 12-year-old
No.
sister and I were home alone upstairs when we heard the front
Yeah.
door burst open.
I
A
have
voice I didn't
a bit of
recognize
problem
yelled,
with
"Fire,
high
fire,
frequency
get out!"
sounds
But I didn't smell
sometimes,
fire, and
but
anything that
I
could have
managed
caused
to-
one was
to-
turned off. I realized
I managed to be able to I managed to figure out that I was able to hear higher frequencies and fewer lower frequencies, but sometimes like I have a bit of precision loss on hearing the mid-range frequencies, but it's just totally normal. Like a lot of, like 90% of people experience the middle frequencies being slightly lower volume than some of the higher or lower ones. Usually people lose the higher pitches first, but also some people lose their middle pitches first in their hearing. But mine is completely stable. I mean, it's been like that my whole life too. I started noticing, like, wait, why does this sound louder even though even though the volume is turned all the way down? And I was like, oh wait, hold on, I might so I literally discovered a secret about myself. of why that happened.
Whoever this was
I
trying
mean,
to lure
I
us
am a
out.
scientist
I crept
after
towards
all,
the door
so
and locked it. But
that's
when I
the
looked
thing.
over at my
Yeah.
sister, she was shaking like she knew something I didn't.
Now,
Suddenly,
I'm still,
I
now,
heard
I'm
footsteps
still
slowly coming up the
I'm
stairs.
still on
The handle
the
started
middle
rattling like
stages.
crazy, and the voice again yelled,
So
"This is
I'm
the
not
fire
a senior
department. Please
scientist
come
right
out."
now,
I
but
looked
I'm
out
still,
the window and didn't
I'm
see
still
a
in the
fire
training
truck.
stage.
I brought me and
but-
my sister to the ledge, intending to climb out, but a white van I didn't recognize sat parked across the street. A man in the driver's seat was looking directly at me,
Where-
almost
okay.
like he.
The cat's in my room. Okay. Okay, that was actually a little embarrassing. That was a little embarrassing
was
too.
daring me to get out.
The cat-
My
I was
heart
about to say,
racing,
what
and my
was
sister
that?
kept whispering for me to do
It
something.
was a
The
cat.
door handle rattling had now also stopped, which was somehow
Yeah.
scarier.
Was
I
it the
pulled out
same
my
cat
phone
as in
and
one of
called
my
our
old
dad.
Shock
I told
Challenge
him
videos?
everything
That's a
and
totally
prayed he'd
different
come
cat.
quickly. That's when my sister
But it
grabbed
still
my
had the
hand.
same
She whispered
thing that
she
my
knows
other
the
cat
person
did, just
outside our door.
run all
It's
over the
the
place
kid
until
from
it goes
school
into
who was
rooms.
harassing her. I hugged her and grabbed a remote nearby, promising I'd protect her if he comes in. But then I smelled
Yeah.
something, actual smoke coming
Oh,
from
no.
downstairs. I realized that's why
Their-
the rattling had stopped. The kid
did
had
their
gone
house-
down and
did
lit
their
a
house
real fire.
caught
My
on fire?
hands shook, but I didn't even have time to react before a hard kick rattled our door. Then another kick
Oh, no.
and another. My sister was sobbing, and I knew I had to stay calm for her. I told her, "Let's try
Is
the
their
window
house-
again."
is their
We
house
crept
catching
over,
on
and the
fire,
white
or is
van
there,
was now empty. This was our
or is there
chance.
someone
I
holding
helped my
something
sister
to
onto
burn?
the ledge, but when she looked down to start climbing, she went pale. The man from the van was right there, smiling at her. He grabbed the drain pipe on the wall and began climbing
Oh,
up. My
no.
sister jumped back in, and we just hugged, hearing our door splinter, and accepting this was the end. We were going to die. But then I heard the squeal of tires. Our dad's car was in the driveway. He got out and sprinted, pulling the man off the drain pipe and hitting
Oh
him
my-
over the head. Then he ran
There's
inside,
karma right
not
there.
caring that the fire had spread so much. It
I think
swallowed
so
him
far a lot of these
immediately.
videos
Our door was barely
are
holding
karma.
on. The kid kicked one more time, and the hinges gave out. The door
Oh, no, the
swung
hinges
open.
gave
He
out.
had a knife raised above his head, and he lunged right at
Oh,
my
they
sister
blurred
like
it.
I wasn't even
They
there.
blurred it.
My heart dropped. My body reacted before my brain, and I jumped in front of my sister, preparing to get stabbed to save her life. The knife was inches away from my chest when out of nowhere the kid stopped. His face fell, and he dropped to the floor completely. Blood started pooling from his back. I looked into the hallway and saw my dad with his gun raised, and the smoke from the fire downstairs rising around him.
Oh,
My
my-
12-year-old
oh, my-
sister and I were home.
Why would he do that? He's gonna commit crime. Bro.
I grabbed the last toy soldier for my son, and a security
Bro,
guard was
he's
in
gonna
my
get
face.
prison.
I was
He's
gonna get that for my.
Bro, like that dad's gonna go to prison for shooting a child trying to shooting. Bro.
My kid,
What is
get
this
something
story
else.
post?
The nerve
bro?
of this guy. Sorry,
Yeah,
my
it's
son mowed
basically
lawns for a
like-
month
it's
to save
basically
up for
weird
this.
clips
He turned
now.
cold. Entitled Beach. Excuse me?
It
You're
went-
the type
it
that
literally
cries
went
like a
from
little
positive
baby
to
when he doesn't get
negative,
his way. I thought to myself,
it
I'm a
went from
Marine.
positive
You
to
could say a
negative
lot of
clips.
things about me. A crybaby isn't one of them. I thought about responding, then decided against it
The
and
last
walked away.
toy
That's what I
soldier?
figured. Any sign of conflict, and you fold like the little beach I thought you were. I hesitated for a second, then kept walking. At checkout, I felt him watching me. Sure enough, he pushed through the line, badge out, hand on his taser. Sir, come with me, right now. Every customer stared
Wait,
at
huh?
me like I'd
What's
already
even
been
going on?
convicted. Excuse me? I watched you steal something. Don't make this difficult. Fine, get your manager. The rent-a-cop pulled me into the tiny back office, a metaphor for his tiny dick. He told his idiot manager that he watched me steal something and put it back when I saw him coming.
Wait,
A
what?
blatant lie. The manager bought every word and informed me I was going on a watch list and banned from the store. The rent-a-dork
Wait,
got
huh?
right in my face and smiled like he'd won a trophy. I was about to make a decision I couldn't take back when Sally from Home Goods walked in. Sir, I actually saw and heard the whole exchange between these two, and the customer is telling the truth. He never tried to steal anything. The rent-a-dweeb turned white. The manager apologized
wow.
and gave me 50% off my entire purchase. I loaded the
Oh,
cart
wow,
with
a
everything my
discount.
son could want with the last
What
toy
the?
soldier on
Oh
top.
my
On
God,
the way
he's
out,
rich.
I watched the rent
He had to be rich.
turd get fired.
Oh my
A
God.
week later, I saw him on the local news, caught stealing the exact same toy soldier from another store. Some people never learn.
Yeah, that's karma.
During
bro.
lunch period, my lunch lady aunt
It's
slipped me a
literally
note. Don't
going,
eat
bro.
any of the food.
Oh,
Something's
no.
going on. I looked up at her, but she was already serving the next kid. Not
And my
making eye
mouse just
contact.
started-
What's
my
this?
mouse
I whispered.
started-
She ignored me and kept
Okay.
serving. I sat down with my usual group. Everyone was eating. The pizza looked normal, smelled normal. Owen took a huge bite. Finally, decent pizza. I pushed
tried to
mine
fix
around
my
my plate
mouse
and
stable
pretended to
because
eat.
it
Not
wasn't
hungry?
all the
Taylor
way on the
asked.
thing.
Big breakfast. 20 minutes into lunch, Liam grabbed his
mouse
stomach.
pad
Oh
started
shit!
moving
He ran to
instead.
the bathroom fast. Dude probably ate too fast. Owen laughed. Then Chloe doubled over. Oh god, God. She ran too. Didn't make it. Vomit hit the cafeteria floor. Within 5 minutes, 10 kids had fled to bathrooms. Then 20. Then the sound started.
Are they allergic to anything?
Begging.
I bet there's poison in their
He
food
stood
or
up
something.
and immediately shit himself right there. It ran down his legs. Help me, he whispered. Taylor projectile vomited across the table. It hit 3 people. The cafeteria erupted. Kids running, falling, bodily fluids everywhere. Jenna collapsed by the door, lost control of everything, lying in her own waste, crying. Call 911, someone screamed, but the screamer then doubled over and added to the nightmare on the floor. I ran to the bathroom. Every stall was occupied. Kids were using sinks,
What even
urinals,
happened,
trash cans,
bro?
the floor. The
Poison
smell was
or
unbearable.
something?
Shit, vomit, sweat. Ramon was on his knees in the hallway. It won't stop coming out. Brown liquid pooled around him. Teachers were trying to help, but getting sick from the smell. Miss Harrington vomited
even
just from walking
happened?
into the bathroom. Everyone stop eating, Principal Avery announced over the intercom, but 300 kids had already eaten. The hallway was a war zone. Kids crawling through their own waste. Some passed out in it. I saw Eric literally tear his pants off in desperation. No shame left, just animal panic. The cheerleaders were huddled
why would
together,
he
crying.
do
Their white
that?
uniforms destroyed.
Bruh,
Maddie was
this
convulsing on the
entire
floor.
school
My intestines
had to
are coming
be
out,
too
she screamed.
embarrassing.
Blood in her waist now. Others too. Ambulances arrived. EMTs walked in. and
This had to be
immediately
so
walked back out.
embarrassing.
We need hazmat, one yelled. The gym became a makeshift hospital. Kids on stretchers, IVs everywhere. The smell made nurses gag. It's not stopping, Chloe cried.
It's literally,
Empty,
it's,
but still
it's
cramped.
literally
Some kids
poison.
were hallucinating
It's
from
seriously
dehydration.
poison.
Drew thought he was dying.
That's the
Kept
only
saying
that's the
goodbye to
only
his mom,
cause
who
of
wasn't there.
smell
Mass
making you
poisoning
gag.
event, the EMT
Yeah.
announced. This isn't food poisoning. I found my aunt cleaning in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
I knew it.
Called
I
Tia.
knew
People
it
are
wasn't
dying.
poison.
No one's dying. But then I saw
Because
Rosa,
that's
the
the
other lunch
only
lady. She was
that's
at
the
back
only
door with
way
her
that
purse
someone
trying
would
to
gag
leave.
and
Where are you going? I
pass
asked.
out
Home,
over
my last
smells.
day. During this, she smiled. They got what they
Yeah.
deserved. My blood went cold. What did
What?
you do? 10 years of lunch lady slop, of Rosa's mystery
No,
meat, of
no,
throwing
no,
food
no,
at
no,
me.
no,
You
no.
poisoned them. Extra ingredient, industrial strength laxative. The kind
No,
they use
okay,
for
I
colonoscopy
was
shots.
literally
Times 10.
called-
Times 10. Your aunt didn't
I
know.
would
She
literally
served
call
clean food to
911
you. I look at the
if that was a
cafeteria.
real
Kids were
clip.
being carried out, covered in their own
If
shit.
that
The floor was
happened
slick
in
with
real
bodily
time, I would
fluids.
call
This could kill them.
911.
They'll shit for
What
days.
was
Maybe have a
that?
little respect for the people who feed you. During lunch period, the principal announced, Code Red, this is not a drill. 4
What?
times. Code Red meant there was a shooter, and we needed to lock the door, turn
Code
off the
Red?
lights, and hide. But our substitute, Mr. Pell, was
They had
standing
their
next
own
to the
codes.
open door with the lights
They have their
still
own
on,
codes.
and said, I'm only allowed to
Hold on.
follow your
I don't even know
teacher's
what I'm
lesson
hearing
plan,
out there.
and it just says to do your worksheet, so you're going to keep doing the worksheet.
I don't even know
Every
if that
other
was from the-
classroom had
It could be from the video with the spatial sound and sound enhancement because I
already
got
locked
good
their door
headphones.
and turned off the light. A kid in the
It's
back
so
stood
good
up.
that
Mr.
it
Pell,
makes
we need
outdoor-
to
it
hide
makes
or we're going
indoor
to die.
sound
If your
real.
teacher sees the worksheet isn't
Or
done,
actually,
I'm
like,
going to get fired.
It makes like on video sound so real, like it almost like I'm hearing it's almost like I'm hearing something in the room when
A
I
girl
think it's coming
screamed
from the
down the
video.
hallway, and then we heard 2 loud popping sounds. Mr. Pell,
Oh,
that was
no.
a weapon. Please close the door.
Okay.
Mr. Pell laughed. That was a chair falling over. Sit down.
No, it
Then a
wasn't.
girl
That
said,
wasn't a
"The news
chair.
says there's a
It's
shooting
too
here. Please
loud
close the door.
to
You
even
need to
be a
listen to the lesson
chair."
plan, not the news. Now be
What
quiet
is
and do
this?
your work. That's when I had enough.
Yeah.
I ran to the door and pushed
Dude,
it
this
shut.
is
I
literally
locked
my
it and flipped the
freaking
lights
rage
off.
bait.
Mr. Pell gasped, "How dare you disobey
And
the
it's
lesson plan? I
12:08
hope you get
and
fired. Everyone hide."
I don't even know
I
how
said.
long I've been
Everyone
recording
hid
for
in the back
because
of
I don't see the
classroom.
timeline
Mr. Pell
on my
still tried
recorder.
to unlock the door, but I blocked him. "I'm not dying because of you." Mr. Pell gritted his teeth, and that's when we heard footsteps walking down
Oh,
the
wait.
hallway. And then
Oh,
our door
oh,
handle
no, I
rattled,
recorded for
but the door
42
was locked.
minutes.
But Mr. Pell was reaching to unlock
Yeah, this
it,
is
so I
definitely the
punched him
last
so
short.
hard, he knocked out, and then the footsteps walked away. Nobody said a word
Oh,
for 40
no.
minutes, until the SWAT team knocked in a special way and said the shooters had been arrested. Then the principal came to our room and told Mr. Pell, "You left the door open during a school shooting. You're fired." Mr. Pell stormed up to me.
Wow.
"You got me fired. All you had to do was follow the lesson
You're supposed
plan."
to
I
put
balled
you're
my
supposed to put the school in lockdown, bro. I'm not sure who would ever think of something weird, bro. Yeah. So yeah, now, so like before the video ends, I would recommend you subscribing to his Oops, I hit my mouse key. Okay, I would recommend you subscribing to his story. And also, there's a similar channel out there called Her Story, which I hadn't watched yet. But it's made by the same YouTubers. His Story and Her Story, they both have red hairs, and they both made by the same YouTubers. And there's also one called Asian Story, which is an Asian version of his story. And I think there's also going to be a Her Asian Story too. And I'm not sure there's going to be something called Dog Stories. Why would it be Dog Story? Okay, no. Oh my gosh, no, I would not deal with dog stories. That would be so weird. It would be too cringe too. Yeah, So I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash the like button, press the bell to get notifications. Yeah, that's just too crazy. And I will see you again next time. Bye.